What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Speaking Llama, a Survivor podcast. This is Caleb, joined as always by Alex, but more importantly, we have an amazing guest on the podcast today. We have Karin from Australian Survivor, Brains versus Brawn II. Karin, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Very, very excited to be here. I was listening to Laura's podcast this morning actually. So I'm keen to be on. I've been listening to you guys all season 2. So yeah.
Well,
Excited.
we're excited to have you on it, and you have definitely been from the moment you said you talked about breaking people's legs on a reality television show. We fell in love with you, so like that, it's great.
I didn't mean it to come off across as I will break everyone's leg. It's not like I went around like I went around with a crowbar being like, "Yep, you kneecap next." Yeah,
Well,
but like vibes.
Well, I feel like Kaylin stole your thunder a little bit this season, right?
Right? Dude, my guy, that was my shtick. And now you're like breaking fingers and like tearing biceps. I was like, dude, oh my God, if you like worked in the real world, you would give me so much business. This would be so great. Like you have a quiet day at work and I'm like, I got just the one for the job. Kaylin, go. Break someone. Yeah.
You heard it here first on the podcast. Hospitals and doctors it's all a conspiracy.
It's all a conspiracy.
I see Kaylin pushing people over.
Just on the street. He'd probably push people over like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And then
no, do not spread that slander around. He's actually a beautiful boy that would not harm a fly. But
That's wonderful. Well, the other, I think, quote of the season, and I don't think you probably realized this when you said it on the island, but really you're with the real Tweedledee and Tweedle dipshit today. And our question for you is who is who?
Which one?
You've been listening to us. Which one is which?
I feel like Caleb, you're like Tweedledee, and then Alex, you're definitely Tweedle dipshit. Like
that's fair. That's fair.
I'll take it.
That's what I'm getting.
Yeah. All right. I'll own it. Honestly, it's the better of the two in my mind.
There are like versions of it that I don't think made the air because of the profanity.
That was the cleanest one.
Yeah.
Oh God, pot mouth.
We'll take it. But if this is the first time you are listening to our podcast, welcome. We are Speaking Llama, as I mentioned at the top. We're excited to talk to Karin, and be sure that you are following us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Instagram, wherever you get your media of choice at Speaking Llama. And with that introduction out of the way, we're excited to do this post-game interview. And Karin, I know that you have probably had lots of opportunities to talk with people about your Survivor experience. I'm sure that there'll be some repeats, but we are excited to get to talk with you. And kind of our opening question is, what has this experience been for you? Like, if you were to describe it in one word, what has been your Survivor journey?
It was interesting. I never went in with the purpose of winning, just because when I applied and got onto the show, I was at such a weird point in life. I say this to all my friends. Like, I think going on Survivor, I was probably in the worst physical, mental, state I could have ever been in. And then I got the opportunity to go, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to say no. And it's also a great excuse to be like, bye, I'm not going to work for a bit. And then I came back from it, gaining so much in the form of like really, really close friends, having done like these weird and wonderful things. And then sort of like proving to myself in a way that all of those like weird opinions I had of myself can actually be proved wrong. Like, so in my sort of field of work, everyone's incredibly smart and everyone's incredibly accomplished. And it's just this weird echo chamber where everyone just tells you you're, a shit doctor and you're not good enough and you're not working hard enough. And like, even though if you pull like a 12, 16-hour shift, you should actually go home and study as well. And then you hear that for like 6 months straight and you're like, okay, I suck. So I went into it in that sort of mindset and like knowing I wasn't like the fittest I've ever been or like probably the mentally resilient I've ever been as well. But then like as every sort of stage in the game progressed, I kind of went, oh, okay, maybe people like me. Maybe I can do this. Oh, well, shit, I can actually hold my breath for an extended amount of time underwater. Who'd have thunk? I can't throw to save my life, apparently. Or go on a barrel, but I did it. And yeah, I came out of it and I went, oh, this is fantastic. And I've been like so good after the show, mainly just from like the G up I got from it. And I think that's far better than $500,000. I mean, it would have been great with $500,000, but like win, you lose some.
Yeah. Alex loves people who grow the most on Survivor.
My least favorite trope is like the final tribal council where they're like, well, I grew the most, so I deserve shut up.
I'm a winner because I grew. I mean, maybe that would have been my final pitch, being like, I am so good as a person now. Mentally, I am so zen. No.
If your final tribal council is anything like your actual final tribal council that you were in, I highly doubt that.
So chill, guys, stop it.
No, that's great. I'm sad that you were having to go through that, leading into the show, but glad that you got to go and kind of also realize how awesome you are. We think you're awesome, at least from what we've seen on the TV, how we've interacted with you. So, and another kind of genuinely serious question is, I think one of the highlights of the season were your confessionals. We kind of talked about this. What's the secret to becoming a great confessionalist on Survivor?
I've no, so like the first couple of because when you go and you do your big main interview where you tell people about yourself and where I said I was going to break a bone, there was so many takes there where they were like, dude, just say something. I was like, I'm not funny, I don't know how to do this. And I was very prim and proper, and I'm like, my name is Karin, I am a doctor, I am here to play Survivor, I am a big fan. They're like, no one's gonna look at that. And I went and then between takes, I'd say something slightly unhinged and semi-feral, and they go, no, what's that one? Where's that from? So I told them about, I was like, well, like sometimes my friends call it my raccoon energy, where usually I'm like a normal person, but sometimes I just turn into this like dustbin panda who just says things. And then one of the producers is like, all right, cool, no, we want dustbin panda, that's what we want. And then so I was like, all right, cool. So you want me to be the person I would be if I wasn't worried about getting fired? I got it. And the most like outlandish things would just come out of my mouth, and I'm going, oh God, that was an inside thought. Oh. But like, I think it's just, so I'm a theater dork as well. I did a lot of theater when I was in high school, like musical theater and whatnot. And like, I do have like a flair for the dramatic when I'm allowed to be. So I just kind of went, all right, let's just treat this as improv. And yeah, the more I did it, the more I'm just like, oh, cool, whatever. This is like me talking to my friend, having a bitch about whoever's pissing me off on the beach, and like, oh my God, like, let's be honest, like a lot of things piss me off, so it wasn't hard.
Well, it's fair, right? Like, yeah, you had quite a few things that I think would piss anyone off. No, but it was fun to see, and I feel like you were kind of the main confessionalist through most of the game, and honestly, kind of the editors fooled me. I was like, oh, you're winning. I mean, this is it. Did you feel like you were kind of that main character as you were going through?
Well, like not when I was actually in the game, because like I honestly, because there's so many big characters, there's huge personalities. Like, when we're talking about Brain 1.0, you've got the Riches, the Lauras, Miles, Kent, Max, Logan. They're huge characters, and I went, oh God, that's personality. And I think mainly because I was largely being myself, which is slightly catty, slightly sarcastic, vaguely blunt person. Anyway, I was like, oh, I'm just being myself. It's not a character. This is just who I am. But I think because I'm good at narrating, I suppose I just retell everything with my slightly sarcastic, for my theater. So when it was coming out on TV, I went, oh, well, God, Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, why did you call him a cankersaur? That was an insult. Oh, great. Yeah.
Nice little apology tour to all of your castmates.
Literally. But yeah, no, I genuinely didn't think so. Just because,
Yeah.
I think this is like a recurring theme with sort of my perception of myself. I was like, I'm like here, like this is where I am, middle of the pack. Everyone is so much bigger than I am. And like Miles likes to repeatedly point out that was my detriment. Thanks, Miles.
That feels good to hear, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, wait.
Yeah, how do you come back after someone wins, right? You know, they won, they did the thing. I guess they can say whatever they want to about their season. But one thing I'm interested, you know, you could have mentioned you maybe weren't in the best, you know, headspace heading into the season, but what was your kind of game plan jumping into a Brains versus Brawn season? You get there on the beach. What was your strategy to start off with the game?
Like, so going into it, I did next to no prep. But to be quite honest, like the plane to get onto the plane to go to Sydney and then to Samoa, I like finished my night shift in the morning, sort of grabbed my bag, shoved it into like an Uber, and then I was like out the door. And then as I sat down, I went, okay, all right, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Prep, woman, prep. And then I think my game plan was just go, let's just be stable, let's be solid. Let's just, you know, do a lot around camp. Let's not try and be like a loudmouth. Let's not be a leader. Let's sort of vibe who you want to form a good relationship with first, and then maybe let's turn that into an alliance. And I went, okay, you're like, let's be honest, fitness wise, oh girl, we're not that good, but I'm like, your baseline fitness isn't terrible, so we should be okay. And we'll figure it out when we figure it out. I'm a very much like a, sorry, excuse my French, fuck around and find out kind of person. And that was just sort of the game plan. I'm like, all right, find your people, find your tribe, look at what's in front of you, and then just play the board as you see it. That was the game plan. And I kind of went, I've seen enough Survivor from just being a fan of the show that this will play into my head somehow. So yeah, that was it. There was like a loose plan. And then I thought I'd just YOLO the rest of it.
Well, yeah. it worked for you enough, right? Like, you know, you made it deep. We'll get to there what happens at the end. But I mean, from watching the view, especially in that early Brains tribe, the witches coven in particular, kind of like is the controlling force. Who are the main characters bringing those people together, at least early on?
So the coven was formed or like thought of from like just it was like a panic attack. Like we went, like I was on the beach, we introduced ourselves to each other, and I went, oh Jesus Christ! I was like, I don't. Oh my God, I don't fit in. What do I do? And there were a bunch of people that really vibed super well together. Like Logan and Laura were like this, just together from the start. And then you saw Max and Rich sort of buddying up together as well. And there were just pockets of people forming. And I remember going like, I'm going to go collect palm fronds and just sitting next to a palm tree going like, oh my God, what do I do? And then my sort of initial inspection of everyone, mainly from watching Rich sort of just like keep fist bumping all like the big boys. I kind of went, oh, we're doing a big boy thing. Okay, interesting. Not vibing that. And then I just saw Laura. Laura was really cool. And I love that the entire tribe, when she said, I'm a witch, we're like, cool, read my palm. And she told me after, she's like, I was so worried that you guys would think I was crazy because, you know, you're a doctor. And you kind of just went, whoa, okay, what does my aura look like? But yeah, we're really sort of open with everyone. I saw Laura and I went, okay, you're kind of cool. I kind of want to work with you. I think you're a stable force. You really have a lot of connections already within the first sort of like 30 minutes. This is a good get for me, but I can't like directly hit you head on and say, hey, let's be besties. Logan. And then Logan and I were like collecting palm fronds and doing whatnot. And then I sort of just went, oh, love your best mate. She's great. Tell me about her. And then we started talking a bit and, sort of gushing about that. And then I went, all right, well, I've got a bestie too. I've got a mate as well. Zara's pretty cool. What do we reckon? And like, the thing is, when you panic and you know that you might be under target just from just being this solitary figure that could be targeted, because that's what the first votes are usually like. You don't want to really ruffle feathers. You just kind of want to pick someone that's sort of like a drifter and go, yep, cool, let's get them. And I also wanted to create a little bit of an us versus them divide. I saw the big boys forming, so I was like, okay, really, really good time to make an all-girl alliance as a rebuttal and a buffer to it. And this is going to give me a lot of protection too. So that's when I went to Logan and went, oh, look, then like I think it's on the first episode where I was like, well, I'm not calling it a coven, but if we just drive the witches together, let's do it. And then that's when the coven sort of came to be. Like it was just sort of spelled into existence. And it was that's what it was. It was this sort of protection buffer where Zara and I were getting information from the likes of Laura and Logan because they were so well connected. And because they now had an incentive to keep us around, because now we're for a voting block that can potentially go in a direction we want to go in, they were incentivized to sort of keep us safe as well. And that's why I think I went from like the first 6 hours on the beach to having nothing and no one and going, oh my God, this is bad. I'm sticking out like a sore thumb here, to being quite insulated the next morning.
Yeah. Well, one thing, I mean, I loved the coven, the first couple episodes, but I was so scared for you four because it's a group of 4 on a tribe of 12. It's like, how can these 4 control it? So I'm curious, how did you control a tribe of 12 with only 4 people?
I think so. I really have to attribute a lot of it to Laura. Laura had a significant amount of power, mainly because how well she was connected. She had really good relationships with Logan, who was her number 1. She had a really good bond with Rich, and Rich was linked to the likes of Max and Kaylin as well. So from that sort of spot in the middle, she was also building a really good relationship with Miles. She basically had information traffic from everywhere. And because she had so much information, she was positioned really well so that if we were ever targeted, she could flip the vote instantly in the direction she wanted. And which is what sort of happened in that first vote, where the coven initially, our aim was to make this all women majority that had an advantage over the boys, which is why we really didn't care who went home. We just wanted a guy out. Like Zara and I would have been very happy if it was Rich. But
I think we heard that once or twice.
Once, like I think I mentioned it like once. In passing, I don't really care. Whatever. But it didn't really matter. Like anyone could have gone, just so we had this block that held majority. That was the whole premise of the coven. The OG coven was 4 people, and then I think we included, we added on Ali and Indy to that base, just so we could move forwards.
Well, we saw how Indy felt about being added on, and that.
Like it's I don't know. So Indy is a really interesting character and a really, really interesting person. She's a comedian, so she comes off like her. I think her personality and her vibe can either sort of enamor you and charm you, and then you're like, yeah, I get you, I love it, or you're kind of going, I don't really know. Indy and I like talk quite a lot because we were building ourselves together, and it really made sense. We had a lot of commonality. She works in quite a male-dominated profession, so do I. We're both women of color. She's got an Indonesian Indian background as well. I'm Sri Lankan, so there were sort of like cultural things that we related to, and I liked Indy from that regard. Definitely, like I could see us clashing in a lot of ways, but I think from the initial conversations, and I went, okay, all right, Indy, I think there's definitely a future for us to actually work together. So when we actually, I think the conversation where Ali and I sort of bring her into the fold was a genuine conversation. Like obviously, yes, she definitely wasn't like, coven or die tattooed across my bicep, but it made sense for us to move together.
Which, like, what sucked, I think, for Indy and her game, especially in that first vote, is that it's just you have to give someone a reason, right? Even if it's not a strong reason. And fortunately for her, she kind of put that target on her back. She made the move she did, and the rest is history. But it would have been interesting. Despite the early loss for the Witches Coven in terms of not getting that mail out to start with, y'all still did an excellent job controlling the game. You mentioned this earlier that, for most everyone, you could see like the Logan and Laura pairing like seemed pretty clear. Like you could tell they got along. What brought you and Zara together? I don't, from my recollection, we don't really get that in the TV. Yeah.
I think Zara and I sort of like circled around each other for the first day, I think. And then like the more conversations we had, the more I kind of understood how her brain worked. She is an incredibly intelligent woman, and she's also very used to getting exactly like what she wants, just because in life in general, she's got 3 degrees. She's like a mom of 3. She's at a point in life where, she does something because she wants to do it. And if she doesn't want to do it, she doesn't want to do it. And now she was in a position in a game where you kind of have to sort of tone that back quite a bit. And she can't sort of be this like ruthless woman she is in life, because you have to be tactful in Survivor. And then the more, I think the way I talked to her, it was just so easy. I could actually just say like the outlandish things. We're like, I really don't like his face, and she'd go, yeah, man, I get that too. I mean, she would never say yeah, man, but like, it was like I felt at ease enough to say that without being worried that she's going to go, Karin doesn't like your face. And that was it. And within the first sort of 24 hours, in the coven forming as well, we'd have a chat and she'd go, do you reckon this coven's going to last long? And I was like, no, I reckon this is like, and I'm so surprised that the coven was such a focal point in the edit, because initially I was like, oh, this will work for a first couple of votes. And we're in a good position now. And I think this is a good like leverage point for us to be in. But Zara and I were like, and it was hilarious because I went, well, I'm so matter of fact when I say these things, just because I think it's like, and I'm not the most emotive of people. So I went, yeah, well, like Laura's got Logan, and I'm like, yeah, Zara, you're my number 1. And she went, what, me? And I went, yeah, of course. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah, duh.
Where's the ring? And
I'm like, Zara, who else am I going to talk to? And you're really like, yeah, like I've said the like dumbest things in front of you, and quite possibly the most unhinged things in front of you, because I'm comfortable around you. You're a lethal player. You're incredibly smart. You say exactly what you want to say. You've been completely upfront with me about everything. Like that is what I want in a ride or die, where I don't have to pretend. And then I think the more the game evolved, she was one of, if not like, I think one of 2 people where I genuinely didn't have to pretend to be something I'm not. And I was very comfortable with it, where the 27 something club was what Zara called like the 27 something club. And I used to go, no, Zara, I'm 30. I'm an adult. Goes, no. I know what you do. You switch on. You switch your 27 something club thing on. You start talking about, going to revs at 5 a.m. It's like, I know you do that. I do. And I'll come back and you did it again. And I'm like, yeah, no. But like that was the relationship. And then as the game evolved, I was just so impressed with how she handled herself and maneuvered herself in every situation. And it was just organic. I don't think, and this is sort of the testament to our friendship and our style through the game. We never had to say much to each other, but it was just this very sort of assured knowing within the 2 of us. And that was it.
It's like the best kind of duo, and I imagine that's probably why you 2 weren't the major target, right? You weren't the Laura and Logan of the tribe, whether that's brains or the merge. I have a million questions, but I know we got to keep rolling. But one question I do have, the bomb squad. That's what I wanted. What was it painfully obvious, at tribal? Bomb squad. Bomb squad. You know, like
God.
just walk us through your
First of all,
experience, the entire
wait,
thing. Yeah.
the bomb squad is a stupid name because the bomb squad like diffuses bombs. They don't detonate bombs. If you're a good bomb squad, if you were detonating things, you were a terrible bomb squad. Like, that's not the premise.
I mean, they did blow up their games, so that's
not rent free in my head still. But so the bomb squad came to be from like Rich and AJ. The bomb squad plan is really important because this was around about the time where Miles and I formed like a really good working relationship with one another. After the Kent vote happened, I remember going up to Miles being like, "Hey, we've had a bit of like back and forth, just like personal chat about whatnot. But let's like have a chat." And Miles is great. He's also just like incredibly blunt as well, and sometimes he'll say things where you're like, "Ouch, Miles." Why? Where I think at one point he's like, "Yeah, Kaz, you just have a face sometimes where it's like slightly terrifying and it looks like a serial killer." And I'm like, "Are you telling me to smile more? Is that what you're telling me to do?" I'm going to smile, Miles. But this is Miles really just started feeding me all of the information about this stuff that was starting to develop because it was in his favor to now give Zara and I information. So when the bomb was forming, he'd be like, "Okay, so Rich has got this going. He's gotten AJ involved, Max is involved as well." And going into the third tribal, which was the non-Olim, I knew about the bomb squad plan because Miles was telling me about it. So it wasn't a huge surprise when AJ was like, "Yeah, when I make a plan at work, I call it the bomb squad." And I'm like, "Really?" Plan at work called the bomb squad. No, AJ, stop. Kill me. I was like, oh, and then it was a hilarious tribal because AJ's making this announcement and Miles is sitting directly next to him being like, "Do not talk to me. Do not talk to me. I do not have anything to do with this." And he's just looking at me like he's going, no. I did not lie to you. Please, dear God, it's not me. And like that, so that was it. And then obviously we do the alley vote and then Rich is so happy that we got the bomb squad together and we got Allie out. And you're like, "Dude, no, that's not what happened, but yeah, go power to the bomb squad."
Well, that move, right? It's the genius of it, and the Graduates Alliance is that it was undercover a little bit because of the bomb squad, right? You had the same target there. You got an alley together and remained undercover. That was probably what I was most impressed with the Graduates holistically this season was I forgot. I think it was maybe at Merge when it's like, oh yeah, no one knows about this alliance just yet. So who were kind of the key players in creating the Graduates Alliance?
So I think if you give any one person the credit, I think it would be Miles. So Miles was, I think initially at the start of this game, he had a good working relationship with Kaylin and AJ. And I think he wanted to work with Zara and I. It's a really funny story, but where Miles studies the game and Miles knows that certain archetypes of players work well with certain archetypes, and he knows that the older woman gets further in the game, really deep into the game, and it's with one of the younger players. That's like a really good duo to work with. So he goes to Zara and he goes, "Yeah, so like the old woman." And I'm so like sad that it didn't turn up because it's hilarious, and I would pay like $500,000 to see Zara's expression. It's so funny. Someone just being like, "Old woman." Yeah, that's just Miles telling you that he really wants to work with you, and he thinks that you have a really good chance of getting deep into the game. So he wanted to work with the two of us, wanted to work with Kaylin and AJ. And then that sort of came together in the middle, and that's the whole point of the Graduates, because we saw this popularity club, boys club thing sort of developing, and we kind of just wanted to play a game without all of that working as well. And then because Miles was giving me all of that information going into that bomb squad on a limb, and then subsequently after as well, I was like, "Oh, cool, Miles. Great. I'm really solid with you now. This is cool." this. And then when the five of us had the conversation, the good thing is we never actually met properly as a five. In the vicinity of the rest of the tribe. There'll be well chats with maybe like the five of us for once. There'll be a chat of 3 with AJ, Miles, and I, or Zara, AJ, and I. But there was never like a meeting of the 5. So whenever anyone looked, they'd just be like, "Oh yeah, this alliance doesn't exist." And then you've got players like Kaylin who are actively playing both sides. You know, Warren Logan thought he was rock solid with them. He's super tight with Max because of his relationship with Rich. And then obviously the coven exists as well. So because of those webs and layers of alliances, the grad just sort of like skated through. And I don't know, it's really sort of like foretelling how I get sent out of that tribal and the 4 remaining are the actual postgraduates.
Oh.
Now get to the heart.
Well, no, I think the graduates, the postgraduates, you know, whatever we want to call them, they were definitely the alliance of the season. It's interesting, you know, both you, I think we've heard someone else mention it before, like that y'all didn't really meet that often. That there takes a lot of trust to be able to, right? Especially like from the you and Zara side of it with Miles, AJ, Kaylin over there. How do you think y'all are able to maintain that trust with one another, especially when like AJ and Miles are, you know, going around playing idols, being sneaky? Yeah. How do you maintain that trust with someone that you maybe aren't talking with together all that much?
So it's interesting because and it's like, to be honest, I think the longevity of the graduates probably was from the fact that AJ and I tried to murder each other for like a large duration. Well, I mean, I tried to murder AJ for a large duration of the show. So maybe that's why it was so undercover. Yeah. But initially, so the conversations we were having with one another, for example, like day 2 was when AJ and I had like a massive chat, because both of us, I have raging insomnia. He couldn't sleep for the first 5 days either. And all we did for the first sort of couple of days, 5 days, was just talk because there was no one else there. And then we both talked about tribe dynamics. He, you know, sort of said like, and we had this conversation where we were talking about tribe dynamics, and I said, look, I think the focal point in this tribe is probably Rich because of all the connections he has, the VBs, Kaylin, Max, and then in a relationship to Ali, he was like, oh no, actually Logan's the focal point. So we were like really just pitching ideas at each other. So I think that was when I went, oh, okay, you've got a brain for the game. Okay, very interesting. And then, you know, talking to Miles, I went, okay, you're someone I can trust as well. The bomb squad thing did make me more wary of AJ, mainly because I've heard him talk strategy. Now I've seen him do something that was a little bit unexpected. And like, I was wary then, but I think the larger picture of it was that the 5 of us working together was a power block that was very much going to work. And then we had something to work for when it came to the Ali voter, mainly because prior to that, Ali had this massive blowout where she pretty much yelled at AJ for like a solid hour. And after that happened, we really went, okay, we didn't like that's our guy, that's our dude. Well, okay, great. This is great. And then going into that vote, there was this very legitimate trust that regardless of what combination of person got sent out, the graduates, the 4 remaining, would vote straight and protect Miles in any way we could. And like that's what we assured Miles going in. Zara and I was like, it does not matter. The only catastrophe that could happen is if 2 of us get sent. But otherwise, straight down the line, we are saving you, Miles. It does not matter.
Huge. I am still grieving the loss of a potential Ali and AJ alliance. I'm so mad we didn't get it. Come on.
Funnily enough, so I initially thought they were like a dynamic duo. So when you do some of your like pre-production shoots and everything, you can't talk to each other. You sort of gauge a vibe from what they're doing, and because we're like just insane people, you just go like, and And like in my notes because I'd drawn this weird web of just psycho analysis now because I'm like, oh my God, you're an insane person. But I'd like written AJ smiles too much, query, trust, query, shifty. And then for Ali, and I was like, I've just written, boss bitch mentality. And then linked the two of them together and gone, question mark, power couple.
Ooh.
Hey, it seems to me that you had a right read on situations. Yeah, so I don't think that makes you an insane person. I just think that makes you a good Survivor player, which like all good Survivor players are a little bit insane. So
insane.
yeah.
Marbles are loose everywhere. But yeah, no, I think that was a really cool vote for us.
Yeah.
And like again, this is me being just a bit of like a theater nerd. Like I really wanted to get that line out. You have no idea how badly I wanted to get that line out, and I really wanted an opportunity. I was like, I want to say graduate. I want to say it. I want to say it. And then Max said it beautifully where he talked about like schoolyard games, and I'm like, pick me, JLP, me. I've got a line. And like holding it in where I'm just like, just be really cool. And then just say it. And I said it. And I just want to be like, did everyone see that? Did everyone hear what I just said?
Do we need a reshoot? Camera, sound. Did you get that?
Do they tell you guys not to look at the camera, I'm assuming, during the thing? Because
they tell you to look into the fire, which is like this thing. It's really hard to look into the fire, especially when you're wearing contacts. Like my contacts were welded to my eyes by the end of tribal, because they're like, look into the fire, and you're like, I can't. My eyes are really dry.
Okay, because I have this vision if I ever got to play Survivor that I just want to like say something, like lie to somebody and like look at the camera and wink because they know that I know I'm just full of shit. So
like the full like the Office sort of moment, like
yes.
break the fourth wall and just go like, I think. Yeah, I think there weren't moments like that. Like, because you're not like really thinking about it. Tribal's like the best place to do a bit of a performance and do a little bit of a song and dance, as I would do later on.
Good.
But yeah, it was Tribal was where you would like try to like nail a zinger to JLP.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was really like nervous at Tribal at the start, and it kind of showed. And especially our first Tribal because it was nuts, absolutely nuts. And then you're trying desperately to sound like smart, but not give away too much. And also just not sound like a flaming moron, which can also happen as well. But yeah.
Well, it's hard to give a good zinger when JLP's there, right? Like you've got the king of them and you're trying to match.
Yeah, but he's got a mic here. That's not him. Like someone's giving him like this.
You heard it first.
You're shattering the image now, Karin.
All right, interview over. We're done. We're out. No, so talking about tribal moments. Let's fast forward a little bit. You got the swap tribe. You're now on the new Brawn 2.0. One of the big kind of question marks, conversations of fans was this dynamic with you and AJ and AJ's idol. And so want to give you an opportunity of like, what's the thought process? What's going through your head in terms of that post-tribal confrontation with AJ and him playing his idol?
Okay, let's be really goddamn honest here. I saw a moment to be petty and take a big swipe at him for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
And I'm at it.
That's what we were hoping.
I had my suspicions about AJ's like danger in the game and how good of a player he was from the start. And there were moments earlier on in the game where I kind of went, oh, we really should get you out. But then the graduates form, and I was like, okay, best incentive for me is, to work with this man and maybe progress through the game. And like going into it, the bomb squad thing, I'm like, okay, cool. You really didn't warn us about the bomb squad, but you had the option there and you nearly tried to take it. Okay. Going into the alley vote, the whole, Max potentially taking you back means that you probably had a good relationship with Max as well. So you've got it's Survivor. Yes, I'm very aware that you can make multiple relationships. That's the point of the game. But hypocrisy is also the name of the game as well. So I'll be very upset when you find yourself another girlfriend. And then when we went into Brawn 2.0, we had this understanding that Kaylin, AJ, and I were like 3 graduates strong. We would try to maintain our relationship and then try and form new ones. And there were plans in place going into the first Rich vote as well. I'm talking to Ursula and Kristen because those are the 2 people I kind of saw myself working with going into the future. AJ was talking to everyone, every single person on that beach that man spoke to. And going into that vote, I sort of buried my resentment and I went, okay, if I have to work with Rich to maintain majority, I will work with Rich. This is completely fine. And then right in the middle of Scramble, AJ comes up to me and goes, Rich is actually pitching your name. He wasn't. But that is a perfect way to get me to go, great, Hatchet is back. Because I don't need an excuse. I'm like, I will find, you just need to give me this much of an inch and I will go the full 100 mile. And he just knows how to work me. That's fine. I will happily say I was very manipulated into that move. Not even manipulated. I was very willing, just but then as we were in Brawn 2.0, you'd have a solid plan. And then because I had a fairly good relationship with most of the other players, you'd hear another variety or a version of it. And you'd hear AJ doing his big schmoozing ritual with people. And I'm just going, bro, what are we doing here? Why is there plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G? And then version 2 of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Why can't we just be frank with each other? We're supposed to be working together. And maybe that's my mistake. Maybe it's not the relationship like Zara and I had where it was this. Cool. What do you think? This. Okay, great. And then even going into the hostages plan, I was 100% in with AJ on it. We came back after that challenge. We were talking, and then both of us just went, all right, 3, 2, 1, who do you want out? And then both of us said Ursula Pauly together, Then I had a different plan of going about it. I went, okay, why don't we use this as a peace offering? Why don't we save them and say, look, we're saving your girl. We're saving Kristen. We're saving Noonan. You do us a solid. And then he went, no, let's just walk one of them off the plank and use that as bait to make them throw. I kind of went, okay. Flip side, no, and I'm not gonna say no to chaos. And great, let's go for it, whatever. But I think I wanted it to be more of a subtle threat than a head-on sort of thing. And I think those were the small sort of disagreements. And then as we progressed more, I think that really sort of started to irritate me. And AJ is a person that likes to control the board. He wants players to move in the direction he wants to move in, and he wants to see all of that picture. Whereas I'm very much a person that just wants to move herself. That's what I want to be in control of. I don't really care. I do care about what happens in the periphery, but I want to move myself in the game. That's all I want to do. And whenever I feel like that's not happening, that really sort of, I think that's just a core belief of mine. And that just hits and I don't want to do it anymore. And I think that was sort of the irritation where I'm like, I am very just getting moved by the current. I'm not moving by myself. And then now I'm also forming a really good relationship with Kristen. I'm forming a really good relationship with Logan as well. And we'll talk about it later, but I'm formulating an escape route out of the graduates, which is now sort of taking away a bit of my agency. And from a long-term plot, I'm sort of seeing Miles, AJ, and Kaylin maybe at the top of that graduate alliance, with maybe Zara closer to the boys because of AJ's relationship with her. And I'm going, I'm probably closer to the bottom here. Okay, great. And then when it comes to that vote, I'm that tribal, and leading up to that vote, I'm frustrated, I'm annoyed. And when I get frustrated and annoyed, I will take the easy route and the lowest hanging fruit. And I'll just be like, goodbye. You played an idol incorrectly? Oh, that must suck for you. Okay. I'm going to poke it. And then that post-tribal altercation was, AJ was furious that he played an idol incorrectly. He was also incredibly annoyed that I'd done this like illogical and frankly emotionally volatile attack at him at tribal, where I was like, well, I don't trust you anymore. And he's like, stop doing that. That doesn't make sense. You're just doing it because you can, and you're being petty. And I know you're being annoying and petty.
And it feels good.
And I just saw it there where Paulie came to us and went, look, I just wanted to show my trust, which is why I went and voted out my closest number one ride or die ally. And we went, ooh, and like internally, I'm like, bro, that is not how you show people that you're a trustworthy person. You had an idol and you voted out your number one ally. Like ideally, that vote they really should have targeted. Like the scenario where they should have bluffed to target AJ and then should have taken me out because they would have all that would have happened. Paulie plays an idol, AJ plays an idol, I go home easily on 2 votes. Like that should have been the pitch. I was like, you had an idol, you didn't tell your number one, but you had an idol in a position where both of you knew you were at risk. And so we went back to camp and I went, Paulie, thank you so much. That really showed that you want to work with us going forward. And you have my trust. That was a really good play. And knowing full well AJ is in the vicinity to hear that, where this is aggravating him, because not only have I said, Paulie, I trust you, I've also said that was a really good move. Both of those things he knows I don't believe in. And he's just going, why are you saying that?
I just want to play Survivor with you. That's all I want.
Yeah.
All I want.
I do and I don't, right? Because I don't want to be in the AJ role, but I'll do that with you against AJ or against Alex, even better. That is,
oh man,
Alex. Not, yeah, go ahead.
No, well, this is the thing. Like, but they're like, oh, that's like a terrible move. Like, why would you even do that? You're supposed to play covert and subtle, and then maybe take a swipe at him later. And I went, no, you know what? Screw it. Whatever. I am. This is who I am as a person, and if I want to do something just because it makes me feel good to be petty, I will do it.
Hey, listen, Miles. He played that idol on Paulie or PD or to get out PD. And he said, quote, it's worth $500,000. So you're allowed to be petty. You're allowed to do whatever you want out there if it's fun.
Yeah, I didn't have an idol, but I had this sheer grit, determination, and that's all I had.
Well, and when we watched it, it's like, okay, we're trying to figure out what's going on here. And I think our thought was like, this is the perfect opportunity to get some distance from AJ, right? Just have this hostage conversation with both tribes. Let's distance ourselves a little bit, and potentially now we're even closer to Logan, or what's going on. Like maybe this is the escape route a little bit from the graduates, if that's what you were looking for. So I loved it. I thought it was fun. So another question I have with this swap tribe, the OG brains, y'all stuck together here. Did not, other than Rich, right? But did not bring in Noonan. Paulie did not bring in Kristen. It seemed like, I don't know. So did you have a plan to flip on the OG brains to work with the OG brawn, or were you going strong with the brains?
So I think for the large majority of that tribe swap era, the OG brains had the control. Mainly the graduates had the control in that scenario, where AJ and I sort of decided the two people we wanted in the game from the OG Brawn, were Noonan and Kristen. Mainly, so like Ursula initially I wanted to actually form a relationship because I had actually done the groundwork with her during the Sumo at Sea. All right, okay, cool. You're an aggressive player. You're a physical player. I think we think similarly. This is a good base for me. And then when we got to swap, Kristen was there, and I went, okay, great. You two are really solid. Kristen and Ursula had a very good relationship with PD. That was their sort of trio going in. And Kristen had sort of said, look, PD doesn't really vibe with the OG Brawn that much. And if we were going to flip a player to move forward, that was probably the person to pick. And I went, okay, great. So I was trying to build something cross-tribal when I heard that. And like, to AJ's credit, so was he. And in that scenario, every challenge we went to, even the first couple ones, I'd say, Ursula, go tell PD, keep Miles and Zara safe. You have a future working with me going forwards. And the more times AJ was this more outwardly volatile, chaotic person, the more I was like, great, stability is here. This is stability. I will call it as it is. And then Kristen agrees with me because I went, okay, AJ is a little bit robotic. Do you reckon? And Kristen goes, oh my God, yeah, the vault thing. And I'm like, yeah, the vault thing. With the vault. The vault. You've heard the vault. Everyone's heard the vault. Everyone knows the vault. Great. You know who doesn't vault? Me. And then we got really good. And then as we were working, the graduates kind of went, okay, cool. Ursula showed that she wasn't maybe the more strategically savvy when she sent that errant vote towards Noonan in an otherwise complete blindside on Rich. Sure, it was one vote. Does it matter? This is the Queen of Petty over here. I understand. However, when it comes to voting lines, that wasn't a time when a vote mattered. But for example, when we get to a closer split, that vote really, really does matter.
Yeah.
And I can't really play long term with someone that's just going to throw an errant vote out for the sake of it. Like that's not it. You want to show, especially in a swap tribe, that you want to move ahead with people. You want to vote solid, and she didn't. So that's what pushed Ursula sort of out of it. I think in the swap tribe we had. So AJ and I essentially had our preference was Kristen. So all of us it was AJ, Kaylin, and I. And then Kristen was probably ranked a little bit higher than Logan, to be honest. To the point where we went, okay, they've thrown one challenge. Great. We've gotten rid of Max. Excellent. We're going to just keep throwing every single challenge until we get to merge.
Yeah.
And we'll just get rid of every single person. It doesn't really matter. We'll go into it with a stronghold. We'll get rid of every person we need to. And like, that's when I say we were very much in on the challenge throwing. It was a genuine decision made by us. Kristen was in on it as well. The only people that weren't fully in on it was Paulie and Noonan.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for those two. But I mean, the right play, go into the merge with the numbers, and we get to the merge, our milestone 4 players. What is your, you started to kind of allude to maybe an escape route. You have the graduates. It seemed like you and Logan got closer on the swap tribe. What is your plan for merge as you head into it?
So going into merge, I was sure in a bit of a rocky state with AJ and I, but it was like in the grand scheme of things, with regards to a working relationship and being in a good position in merge, keeping the graduates strong was in my best incentive. I'd formed a really good relationship with Logan now, who knows that I have a little bit of an irk with AJ. So he's now potentially seeing a working solution going forwards as well. And I genuinely think if Zara hadn't come over and vaguely neutralized me and been like, just, what are you doing? Stop it. I don't know. I genuinely think there might have been more of a swipe on AJ and a genuine target on AJ, purely because Logan and I were like, cool, done. We can just throw this out. But yeah, going to merge, graduates was there, coven loosely, more so Logan. And so the escape raft was essentially, so I've been feeding information to PD through the Ursula and then through Kristen as well. And so that challenge where Miles gets the idol and I'm doing a horrendous job of throwing a ball. We come to the end of that challenge. I'm desperately trying, finally get the ball. And Kristen is there because she was a beautiful person that actually just helped me retrieve the ball. We were there talking to Ben, PD, Jesse, and they were like, dude, what is happening? And I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know that man. And they're like, you guys can get him out. I'm like, I will try my best. And I'm also telling PD just individually, hey, dude, I've got Kristen. Doesn't matter what happens. I will chain her to me. I will get her through to merge. I will on God, I will get her through to merge. And PD said, I'm actually really good with Zara. My daughter as well. And I went, all right, cool. You got my girl, I got your girl. Amazing. And that was sort of the solid 4 understanding going into merge, where I went, okay, I'm in a really good position, coven, graduate, and I've got this floating alliance here as well. PD and Kristen are universally loved. And Zara and I have good links with the Brain as well. And that would have been actually a really good information source going into merge, because we've got other blocks, but we've got that floating block in the middle. We've got, again, information flow. And then if we needed to, we steer the direction of a vote that favors us. And I genuinely think had PD been in the game longer, it would have been a solid alliance that could have navigated the game. Because he's smart. He's so smart. But yeah, that's what I saw merge going in. I think I positioned myself well. I don't think I was at the top. I definitely wasn't at the bottom, but I was, again, squarely in the middle.
Yeah. I wish we would have seen that happen. I think that would have been such a cool kind of hidden alliance coming in here at the merge. And quick little plug, we're talking to PD tomorrow. And so we are very excited to hear
I love that man. He's so smart. And he sees the game exactly sort of like, I remember going into merge and the cocktail party was happening and I was like, and PD's telling me he's a soccer coach. He's played soccer as well. Like I played a lot of rugby, and we're just talking about how we play the game, and just sort of like my navigation through rugby and all of the injuries I've gotten as well. And I went, oh, dude, you genuinely see the game the same way I see it as well, where you come in with a set play, but you play the player and the conditions in front of you. And it's a very sort of fluid, dynamic style of play. And then PD has a really good sense of humor as well. And he sort of got my sense of humor, which is just, lightly catty and sarcastic. And I kind of went, okay, it's good. You have my number one girl as well. Love you.
It's the best kind of sense of humor.
It is.
So let's fast forward a little bit to your vote out and kind of the events leading up to that. We can breeze past it if you want, but I think people might leave mean comments towards us. So you find out from Kristen, hey, votes on you. I'm going to flip it to Zara, though. I was just rewatching that tribal council right before you hopped on. You came in hot, ready to go, at least from what we saw, and it was awesome. So what's going through your head? And I think, a lot of us aren't Survivor players, and we never play Survivor. So when you hear, hey, your name's out here, but we're going to take out your number one instead, what's going through your head knowing there's, minutes before you leave?
Yeah. So initially my understanding was that it was going to be a split on Kate. That was my understanding. That's what I thought the split was going to be on. And then 2 minutes before we're about to leave, Kristen goes, hey, actually, it's you. Who is it? He's AJ. And I'm like, okay, great. Wonderful. And then she's like, don't worry. And then I also asked, like, who's on the split? It's not showing, but I went, who's on the split? And then she kind of says, Logan doesn't want to do it either, and neither does Kaylin. And I went, what? The split doesn't make sense. So AJ, who is on this? And when she said, Logan really doesn't want to do it, I was like, okay, neither does Kaylin. Okay, I can flip those numbers. To Kaylin's credit and my absolute demise, I thought Kaylin and I were good. Damn it, Kaylin.
Yeah.
So I'm going, okay, all right. The only split that makes sense is a 4-3-2 split because they can't tell Zara and I. So Kristen's on me, Logan's on me, Kaylin's on me. Great. Sure, those are numbers that I can definitely or should be able to split. Because if I think about it, my track record, Logan I've saved now twice. Logan I've also trying to protect through swap as well. And Kristen's, I directly stopped that vote, the previous one. And I told her after that as well, mainly because after that vote, Kristen, Zara, Kate Morgan had no idea Paulie was actually going home because Logan was the split. And I explained it to Kristen. I was like, Kristen, I screwed up initially where I had a working alliance with you, PD, and I didn't help PD or didn't try to block the dumbest voting split known to mankind, like a vote dump of, was it 9-3? No. Regardless. Stupid. And I'm like, Kristen, I wasn't going to let that happen to you, which is why I worked so hard to get Polly out. And I told her, and I also told her, I think going forwards, a 5 I see is you, me, Zara, Kaylin, maybe Morgan as well. I think that's what I want to go ahead with. When they went into that lamb reward, that's what I thought Kristen was telling Logan. And that's what I told her to tell Logan as well. Like, hey, this is the future. So when I hear that, I'm going, there is like, Kristen, AJ has turned on you multiple times. He's voted 2 of your closest allies out as well. He's lied to you repeatedly. I have not. Logan, same. It's like mutually, and like even when I saved it, I was like, Logan, I'm being frank with you. Like this was obviously entirely selfish as well, but it's mutually assured destruction for us to go against each other. Bounty and Karin, I threw votes out on AJ as that was a public display of Logan. I'm with you. I know you're going to Karin, but I'm throwing votes out because like I'm done. This is it. This is the line. You've seen the line. Let's go. So and then because I'm a crazy person, I'm going cool 4, 3, 2. Okay, I can just shut up. I can just shut up. Just shut the hell up. Kristen dumps her vote. You don't even have to vote for Zara. It's fine. You can just go there, say that. But like, this is me. I don't like voting for someone, especially not my number one, because someone's forced me into a corner and said, nah, it's either you have to save yourself and vote out your best mate. I know how much of a good player Zara is, and I don't work in absolutes. I knew towards the end of the game, maybe there's a point where I have to vote Zara because, again, she is a big threat. She is a strategic player. And in a jury, I'm pretty sure she can annihilate anyone with a jury pick. So I would vote her out of pure respect for gameplay. But I don't want to do it because I want to save myself. Like, that was not the way I wanted to vote for Zara. And like towards the end when I'm like, okay, go, this is it. I have to try and hope that they keep the split alive. So I have to vote Zara. That was it. I was like, I had to vote for Zara there. And that was an incentive. That was a decision I made by myself, not because someone forced me to a corner. That's my crackpot. I don't know. And second of all, Kristen said this was out of loyalty. She said, oh, I felt bad because I let Logan get votes on her. You know, Kaz, I'm trying to be loyal to you. You're a person I trust. You're a person I want to play with. This was me showing you loyalty. And I went, I was like, no, this is the move. This is 100% a move. Loyalty is telling me when you have the lamb reward and my name gets pitched. Loyalty is probably telling me at Baron when my name was pitched well. But this is the move. I want, like, this is a move. Tell me, like, it's a move. I'm very understanding of that. And this is the thing. If you drive me or like steer the wheel, I don't care. I'm going to drive us both into oncoming traffic.
Let's go.
Like, that's just me. So I'm running the numbers and I'm going, okay, cool. Shutting up gets me to the next vote, but I'm now firmly on the bottom. Unlike Miles, I don't play really well from the bottom. Mainly because you have to have some humility and then, grovel and sort of, I knew I don't do that really well. And I'd also have to grovel to like AJ and Miles. And
it also helps having an idol in your pocket basically the entire game. So
I mean, that would help. So I'm like, okay, so and got and said, okay, maybe you grovel, maybe you like have a personality change or a lobotomy and you change. Okay, maybe you may survive another couple of votes. And like the more like numbers I'm running, I'm like, okay, I don't make it past here. And I was like, oh crap, I don't make it past 3. All right. And this could be completely diluted, but I'm going, okay, cool. All right, I don't win. Okay. Plan B. We're just gonna go balls to the wall. And I think Laura says it really well. She said from the jury vantage point, she's like, I saw you just go from normal to just go like this, and she's like, oh my god. The face where it's just pure unadulterated, just seething anger. And that was it. It was just like almost just stone cold anger, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna self-detonate. I don't care.
Bomb squad.
No, this is my theory. I was like, if you want bomb squad, I'm gonna give you Manhattan Project. That was it. Sorry, not sorry.
What I love too, obviously Kaylin wasn't with you, so it wasn't going to work. But what I loved was the like, all right, let's play restaurant roulette. Us 5. There's an idol that's on me. It's that kind of like ballsy gameplay that I absolutely love. Is that something you came up with maybe on the way to tribal or sitting at tribal or right in that moment? Like, when did you come up with that plan?
No, that was on the way to tribal. I was like, I'm just gonna do something absurd because I am not getting blindsided. I will shoot myself. I will shoot myself in the foot. I will not get blindsided. But like, this is the thing about that those sort of moments. It brings out all of like the best versions of yourself, and sometimes the worst versions, like the petty, stubborn, no, you will not take me out attitude. Probably like is a terrible thing to have, but. I had so much fun, and I honestly think that is the exact style I wanted to play. Miles always says that you'd never understood how much of a threat people thought you were. Like in my head, I'm like a middle player. I don't have huge resume making moves. I was very good at maneuvering. And I think Miles said, no, like you weren't an obvious threat like AJ and him were. You played the game well enough. People were genuinely worried about coming up against you at a final tribal, especially with a jury where you could speak well, you were funny, and people actually liked you as well. So you were a threat from that regard. And I think if I'd realized that, I think I would have just played as aggressive as I played there, which is exactly, I loved doing that. It was theatrical, it was slightly stupid, and it was fun. I genuinely loved my vote out. And yeah, that's what it was. It was, and like, that was the move. I was like, great, you have zero risk to you. This is I'm pointing a gun at myself, and we're just going to play. And now you can take a swipe at someone that is a huge threat that can definitely potentially win this game. Miles was the lowest hanging fruit there in that scenario because he'd already played an idol. So I went, the odds of another one are low, but Bloodhound over there could have found one. My God, it was hilarious who found an idol in tribal. But go at them. Just I don't know, hit them right now, and you don't have to worry about it. It's like, I'm the crazy person that's thrown this plan and idea into the air, and now you've gotten rid of AJ. Great, take me out next. I don't know, whatever. Zero risk to you. And that's what I kind of wanted them to do. That's what I wanted to sort of make them fall for. I was like, Kaylin, you don't have aggressive gameplay moves yet. Logan, neither do you. Kristen, neither do you. This is it. Go for it. Like, and you can nail me to the wall afterwards. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, in some ways, I saw it as you kind of mentioned earlier that you were doing the numbers and realized that, hey, even if I make it through this vote, do I win? Right? It's like, it's the move of, do I want to try to make a winning move, or do I want to make I'm just going to survive move? And so if Kaylin, right, is actually with you, which again, like, as you said, credit to him, that maybe could have been the move that shifted the entire course of the rest of the game. And so more power to you. Like, get it out there, try it out and see what happens. Better to make a move then than just wait around and be picked off at some point later on. But
that was the other crackpot thing. I was like, well, if I just shut up and Zara goes and the next vote I go out after it, I was like, well, I'm going to be really annoyed that I didn't do the dumb thing before. And and the turning on Zara was also, I'm like, this is a hilariously whiplash moment where I've gone like, I was full on my sword for my buddy, and then I've gone, shit, that didn't work. Maybe you really dumb enough to keep the split the same. I was like, this maybe could work. I don't know.
Hey, you never know.
But legendary if it did.
I know, right? Like, it's hilarious because like both of those are stupid whiplash moments where, God, like if it worked, I'd just be sitting there going, oh, what? Hilarious. Amazing. You are so smart, Karin. You're such a great player.
I mean, I can envision your confessional post tribal council. Like, I can't believe that just worked.
How did that work? There are cats with 9 lives, but I'm like a terrible Buddhist. But I was like, that is a Buddhist cat move. That's like 500 lives. Like, take me to Nirvana now, because you should not have survived that.
If only, if only. But I do want to move us. We get to you end up on the jury. We were all sad to see you go, especially like Alex. I was convinced you at least were getting to like final five. I saw the final five, like Fallen Angel, boot out, just missing out on that final challenge. But you go to tribal, or you go to the jury, and get to be one of the deciding votes. Was there anything as a jury member that surprised you, like you heard later on after the fact, or sitting in that jury spot? How does that change how you're thinking about the game?
It's really interesting because you go into jury with, like, I went into jury sort of like raring, just going, oh my God, what is this? Like, I hope everyone chokes on their beans. I hate everyone. Great. And then you sort of settle, and then you go through cycles. Like Paulie and Laura, I had sort of been very much involved in getting them both voted out. So I went, sorry. And then we went through cycles of it where we would just rehash things, and like, Laura would be like, why'd you do that? And I'm go this, and he goes, oh yeah, damn, that makes sense. And Paulie like fully went off at me. And then we both sort of went, sorry. But then we get to discuss our like perceptions of players. The most interesting thing was the jury's perception of Zara, where I think there was a lot of stuff thrown around where she's like, oh, Zara's a really cold player. Zara's a very selfish player. Zara that. And I went, no, okay. Now, if we superimpose all of those characteristics onto like an AJ, would you still say that about Zara? Or are you just saying that because she's actually quite, a strong, powerful woman in the game who's very unafraid of doing exactly what she wants to do? So, and then I think like a few people kind of went, oh, and biasy. Feeling it. But jury is where you go to bat for your people. You're voted out now, and you just bat hard. Like, and like I was fully prepared to bat for Zara, and like I did. And the same way about AJ as well. Like AJ pissed off a lot of people, but at the end of the day, he played an incredible game. And when there were sort of like moments where the jury started like souring a bit and going, oh no, AJ's actually really annoying. And I went, yeah, but like, dude, come on. Like he beat all of us. Like he conned all of us. Let's just see it for what it is. And then as we got towards even the final moments, the biggest sort of blow up we had was after 3. Mainly because AJ did one of the best performances at a Final 3 ever, where he simultaneously buried Miles in his, amazing sort of like record-winning performances, and then played to Kalen's sort of sensitive nature, and also how he plays the game, which is a very loyal one as well. And I think when we were watching it, Logan, Laura, and I were like, "Oh my God, this is fantastic! This is incredible! Holy shit, AJ's done it!" And when he said, "Oh, play with your heart," we're like, "Oh my God, okay, great! AJ's won. AJ's 100% won." But it was very different to sort of what someone like Paulie saw. That Paulie was like, "Oh, that's a beautiful moment." AJ's being a really good person. I'm like, I'm not saying AJ's a bad person. I'm saying that is also magnificent play there as well. He's not a bad person at all, but he's also playing the game here. And the other moment was when Kalen took all 3 of them aside to have a conversation, and we were all like, dude, no, like this is Final 3. I get it. Like this is really hard. These are 2 of your best mates, and you have to vote one of them out. I know it's hard, but then show us. Like if you're if you're a loyal player, an emotional player, and that's the type of player you want to be seen as, then show us. I get it. Like not everything, you don't owe anyone anything, not even on Survivor. But if you're playing for $500,000 and you want to have this perception portrayed, then show us. Otherwise you look like you're asking for permission, which is what we all thought. That was a major disagreement where Paulie and Kristen kind of went, no, that's a beautiful sentiment, moment for the 3 of them. And we went, great. Yeah. Have it later.
Right.
Like
we want to see it.
We want to, if like, I'm sorry, this is a TV show. And this is also, you're playing to us. You have to show us what you want to do. And if, Kaylin, now you're in a position to vote out a person and you are trying to now play up that you're a strategic player and you're making calculated moves towards the end. You've played dumb for a very long time, and now it's time to turn up the ante and say, no, this is actually intentional. These were all logical decisions I made. So cut the emotion out. Cut the emotion out right now. But yeah, those are the disagreements in jury where we're like, no, he's being, this is his sensitive soul nature. And we're like, no, don't care. Sorry. Or that's a whole calculated move. And I'm like, yeah, no. That was legitimate. But like, that's what jury is, and like, they want, like, everyone says, oh, you're fed, you get to sleep in a nice bed. But we still don't have any, like, we don't have phones, we don't have books, we don't have anything but all of us. And all we're still doing is talking game. That's all we're doing. Because you need to be switched on. Jury can't switch off because you're on jury. And we still need to be playing the game. Otherwise, you don't make an informed decision when it comes to final tribal. So yeah, we, like, jury went through the whole smorgasbord of emotions where I think we, like, yelled at each other, cried at each other, tried to, push someone off the tribal board, like all of the above.
So I always feel like the optimal strategy, if you're a juror, is to keep playing at Jury Villa. I think we saw it a lot. Was it Blood versus Water? I think it was more talked about quite a bit of Sam still continuing to play. And that's the way to do it, because if you're not, then you're hurting your allies who are still in the game. So love to hear that. Now at Final Tribal Council, we got some great close-ups of some facial expressions that you had, just giving us those last little nuggets. We all had them as well. Did you have any kind of favorite moments or memorable moments from that final tribal council that you wanted to share with us?
Oh God, I'm such a, like, terrible. I know the jury's supposed to be this sort of, like, passive. I'm fucking terrible at a jury member. What? Yeah, and so Final Tribal was really cool. I think they thank God they cut those pitches down, because my God, it was long. Like, Kaylin came out with a massive jury pitch, and then we're like, oh God, Miles is going to be even longer. So as we're listening to it, we're all like, come on, rein it in. But I think one of my favorite moments was also where so Kaylin kind of brings out that one of his sort of better moves was getting me out. And yes, he was very instrumental in sort of turning people like Kristen and Logan off me and more towards AJ. But like AJ had sort of laid the groundwork for it, and it just so happened that everything sort of came together. And Kaylin's sort of theory in playing the game was he was loyal to you and he worked with you until you turned against him. And that was his motive to go, okay, cool, I can turn on you now. Great, done. And then he goes, okay, Kaz, like, you pitched my name at 10 and 11. And I went, what? I didn't. He's like, yeah, you did. I went, no, I didn't. And I was like, and who told you I did that? And he went, oh, AJ did. And I'm like, AJ, did I? And he went, no. And I was like, so, and then I went,
yeah.
No, you definitely should turn on me, absolutely. But I'd like the reasoning behind it. I was like, that you can't use that as a reason anymore. But those are sort of kind of and then these are all sort of like how I think Kaylin's trajectory towards winning sort of diminished. The other move was Kristen's vote out, where I think the graduates wanted to get Kristen out, but they knew that they couldn't just go at it head on. They wanted Kaylin to sort of come to them with the idea. So they set the groundwork for it, made all of the conversations to sort of lead Kaylin towards that idea. And then, Kaylin picked up all the breadcrumbs and came to them and went, oh, we should actually get Kristen out. They went, great, let's do it. That's your move. But it was actually them. And I think when Kaylin brought it out, Miles just looked at Zara and went, tell them. But those like the moments in tribal which are like, oh crap, or like they're the moments where like you're interacting with the jury and the jury goes, yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
I think those were some of my favorite moments. And yeah, and like, look, they played incredible games and it was really nice sort of like, I think Kalen's mentality towards the game as well. And I genuinely really applaud him for it, because we were all going batshit crazy out there sometimes. And he's got such an incredible mental resolve. And it makes sense how he got so far in the game. And like, to sort of hear him explaining it, you're kind of like, oh, all right, I get you.
When he did share when we were doing our finale recap and y'all hopped in to surprise us again, if you haven't listened, go back and listen to it. Genius. Greatest day of my life still. You mentioned that Zara's question for Kaylin and Miles were, going through everyone's relationship. Do you mind just sharing, if someone hadn't listened to that, your experience?
Man, like, because I think Zara's question was trying to highlight, the beautiful relationships Kaylin had, and I think how she pitched it was, tell Bro, because he played an incredible social game, so much so that every single player on that jury was like, yeah, I had him. He was gonna take me, and all of us got systematically voted out, and that was what Zara was highlighting. Explain that in broad strokes, and then Kaylin individually went from person to person, being like, oh, we had this, and all of us were going, oh no, baby doll, don't do it, don't do that. And it went for ages, and then we finish, and JLP turns to Miles, and Miles is now just like grinning like a Cheshire cat. We'll try not to, because he's like, oh, this is great. Anything to say, Miles? And Miles just goes, nah. And we missed ourselves, because we're like, oh, Miles. Mwah. Just, I'm sorry, that was just a bit of a mic drop. And like, I know Kaylin meant every single word he said, because he is a beautiful, genuine person. But it showed that almost in a disingenuous way slightly, and then Miles sort of capping it off by being exactly who he was as a person, where I was like, nah, I don't really care, I'm done. We're going, okay, cool. But yeah, that was a hilarious moment as well. I can't believe I forgot that. Yeah.
Good times. Well, good times for the jury, for Miles, maybe not for Kaylin. There definitely was like a moment where I was like, oh, Kaylin knows he's not winning. You just saw on his face. I think my last kind of general question about this final tribal council is for you, obviously you vote for Miles. Like, what was your favorite thing that Miles did in the game?
So the evolution of my relationship with Miles, initially I genuinely didn't think too much of Miles, and I was like, yeah, cool, get him out, I don't really care. And then it evolved into this sort of weird type of annoyance where I'm like, you're irritating me so much, Miles. And it was what he was. He was just this annoying little brother where I couldn't sort of rely on you, but kind of had to rely on you. And honestly, as the game progressed, I should have worked with him a lot more. Even within the graduates, Miles and I get along really well outside of the game, because I think we just play off each other. Everyone tells that I'm a really bad influence on him.
No,
not at all.
I mean, I'm the reason he has a tattoo. His first tattoo was matching graduate's hat tattoo. The only Miles and I have. And no one else. Everyone's refusing to get it. We're like, well, yay, one team, one dream. That's like, and that's the beautiful thing about Miles is he has an incredible backstory. He is this unapologetically nerdy dude who plays Dungeons and Dragons, has a spreadsheet for everything. Like, we go on a night out and the man like itemizes the drinks he's having. He has a spreadsheet for that. But that's who he is. And he was at the start, like, it was his detriment. He would like say all these facts about Survivor, and we're like, Miles, shut up. That's like, stop it. But that's who he is. He's just loud. He says what he needs to say. And it's a beautiful story of it. And he gets to the end, and his final tribal pitch, which I watch it on TV and I like cry every time. Is where it's just the one line where he goes, look, I played a big game, and it was like, not this is paraphrasing, but he was like, but it was my game. And I went, it's your game, damn it. But that's it. He was unapologetically himself. He did not wash that shirt a single day. And then you get to it and go, cool, like you made a lot of big flashy moves. And yes, of course, like you had idols and advantages and everything, but you took every opportunity you got and utilized it. You utilized the people that played with you. And then you got to it and you made a killer pitch. And sure, it's not the gameplay that I would have played, but yeah, it's not my game, it's his game. And it comes down to it, and you go, yeah, cool, that's my annoying little brother that I cannot help but love.
Yeah.
That was it for me. Like, there are really strong strategic elements in Miles's game. There are really sort of like volatile, sort of like catty moves, which I adore as well. And then there's sheer dumb luck, which you have to applaud him for. And that's, I think, encapsulates Survivor in a nutshell. Like, it's just putting everything together, wrapping it with a bit of luck, and a lot of gumption, and going, yeah, cool, here. That's what it is.
Beautiful.
I don't know that I could describe the game of Survivor better myself. Right. So, Karin, it has been a pleasure hearing your side of things, getting to know more about you. We loved watching you on our TV screens. And I'm sure you've been asked before, would you go back out there?
Oh my God. Like yes. And I don't know. This is the thing. It doesn't really matter if I want to go. It's if my boss will give me another 9 weeks. But it was, I'm still perplexed, and many of my colleagues are still perplexed as to, if my boss had a stroke when she gave me this much. People genuinely thought I was fired. But yeah, sure. If I am given the privilege and the opportunity, I will beg and plead. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, that's we would love to see you back out there, but I totally get the work that I have in both of my jobs that I've applied to, that have been in. I've within the first 3 months, I'm like, hey, by the way, I'm a big Survivor fan, and so one day you might just I'm gonna apply, just so you know, do what you need to do. But we hope to see you out there one day. But Karin, like I said, it's been wonderful having you on. Is there anything that you would like to plug to our listeners, if they want to find you somewhere, anything fun that you're doing, or just nothing at all?
I don't think I'm like a big media personality. I tweet things occasionally. So it's Karin on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. No Elon.
Same.
No Elon. And then I'm Karin _Gunatilake on Instagram, and I'm Kaz Tickle on TikTok. I've got 2 TikToks. Don't follow it. Don't.
We'll edit it in post. Yeah.
This is me trying to keep my youth alive.
Yeah.
And stay relevant, because I'm so not relevant. Anyway, yeah, I've got nothing to say. Please, just I think people would like to see me shut up, but
no, not the Speaking Llama guys, not Tweedledee and Tweedle Dipshit here over on the podcast. So, for those that have stuck around, thank you for listening to the end of the podcast. We hope to see Karin back on our screens. Karin, you're welcome on the podcast anytime. But be sure that you are following us. You subscribe, leave a 5-star review. It is at Speaking Llama. And until next time, we'll speak Llama to you later.